So you're all very welcome to this noonday mindfulness practice. My name is Dominic Cogan, as many of you know, based in Kildare, one of the teachers working in the Mindfulness Centre. And as we usually do, we remind people that any of the guidance in this practice is completely voluntary. It is just suggestions for what might support you to be a little bit more mindful. It's a beautiful day, and that's the outside weather, but the inside weather may be a different story for all of us. Some of us may really enjoy the sunshine, and some of us may have got up this morning kind of facing into a difficult day for whatever reason. So however you find yourself, bringing in that intention to use this time to be kind to yourself. There's often the mistaken idea that if we're harsh with ourselves, that we'll get more done, we'll achieve more. And in the short term, that may be true. But there are always costs for that way of relating to ourselves. So being kind to ourselves also involves accepting just how we are, how we find ourselves, whatever physical condition we may be in or mental condition. And when we practice, there is a little bit of effort involved, but it's not that kind of competitive effort that you find with a lot of sports, where we're really straining, pushing the boundaries. We may gently come to the edge of what's comfortable for us, but there's no intention to go beyond that. So inviting you now to stand, we're going to do some simple movement, and we will finish the meditation sitting down in a few minutes. So I'm going to move my laptop myself now. So you want to just follow me, and we see how we get on. I hope you'll be able to see me. Okay, you may not be able to see everything, but you get enough idea anyway. So the first practice is the practice of mindful standing. So allowing the knees to bend slightly, it's kind of typical martial art position. And then letting the arms hang loosely by the sides. And we might begin by just kind of noticing that contact with the floor. You may have shoes on, or you may be in bare feet or socks. You can keep them on or you can take them off. It's up to you. And then just by gently moving forward onto the ball of the foot, you can have a different experience of this contact between feet and floor. Just noticing what that's like. And then gently rocking so that you move onto the heels. And noticing the sensations present here. And then coming back to the midpoint and checking in with the arch of the feet. And we're going to work a little bit with the breath here in terms of moving the body. But if you find that's too complicated, you can just let that go. After all, this is not about technique. It's about the quality of awareness. So we're going to lift the arms up to shoulder height at the sides. But we're going to do this kind of relatively slowly on an in-breath. So when you're ready, just gradually moving the arms up. And one of the reasons we do it slowly is it just makes it a little bit easier for us to tune in moment by moment. And then holding the arms extended, if that feels safe for you. If for any medical reasons you shouldn't be doing this, then just following whatever advice you might have been given by your doctor. And as we hold the arms like this, we may gradually notice that there is some challenge, some pressure in the shoulder area. The arms beginning to feel heavier. And you have the freedom to put the arms down at any point that you need to. And if you're reasonably comfortable with it, just on the next in-breath, just raising the arms up towards the ceiling. And just giving them a nice stretch. Noticing what that feels like. How is the rest of the body, not just the arms. And if it feels safe for you, coming up onto the toes. So there's a little bit of balancing here, and now we notice perhaps the work of the toes and the ankles in keeping you supported like this. And then gently coming back down onto the heels. Then bringing on an out breath, bringing the arms down to shoulder height. When you arrive here, just holding, just breathing normally. And then on the next out breath, bringing the arms down. Now, it may be that for some of you, you've done that rather fast because we have this idea of physical movement that it's about where you end up rather than where you're going. But from a mindfulness point of view, it's about moment by moment awareness of each stage. And then we just work with the shoulders a little bit. So just bringing the shoulders up to the ears. And then rotating them in towards the chest, the heart area, and then down. And on an in-breath, rotating them towards the middle of the back, opening up the chest, back up to the ears, and continuing that circling motion for maybe 2 more cycles. Just noticing the breath as you do that. And when you arrive back down, just resting. And then proceeding in the opposite direction, coming in towards the heart. And then moving back. Just about 3 cycles. And coming to rest and noticing what's present in the shoulder area for you now. And then we'll do some head rolls. So letting the head come forward onto the chest, letting the neck be as loose as it can be. And then just rotating to the left ear. And continuing on, circling to the middle of the back. And then to the right ear. Back down to the chest. Continuing for 2 more cycles. allowing the eyes to be open. And the eyes are involved as well, so the eyes are kind of scanning the room. And then when you come back to the starting position, rotating in the opposite direction. And then when you're finished, bringing your head back up where we began. And then in this next practice, we're going to put the hands onto the hips. And we're going to just loosen up the spine. So we're just going to turn the head. I'll be turning my head to the right, and it's just the head and neck only. And stopping wherever you end up, wherever feels safe for you. Breathing into the stretch. And then coming back, rotating to the left. Being with the breath. Following the arc of that all the way to the left, just the neck and the head. And just holding the position for a few moments. And then coming back to center again. Noticing any tendency to want to do this quickly, which is kind of the normal way we move in this part of the world, isn't it? Now we're going to do it again to the right, but this time the head, the neck, the shoulders, and the waist and hips, and the knees and the ankles will be involved, but the feet will not move at all. So let's go and see where we end up. And then breathing into the stretch when you reach your limit. Slowly rotating back to the center position. The eyes are open. So you're tracking with the eyes and then continuing the journey towards the left. Holding the posture as you breathe right into the stretch, wherever you notice that stretch. Coming back once again to center. And we'll just do one more little movement before we sit down. So this time we're going to do a little bit of balancing. So if you want to just push the weight into the right leg so that you can let the arms down so that you're kind of leaning into the right hip. And then if you want to bring your hands up to support you, and only doing this if you have reasonably good balance. And then we're just going to lift the left knee up, bending the left leg and holding that leg and noticing what's happening with the right foot and ankle. knowing that you can put the foot down at any time that becomes too intense for you. And then slowly planting the left foot back down on the ground. And then leaning into the left leg so that it's carrying most of the weight of the body. Just bringing the right heel off the floor, but without lifting the foot off the floor. So you'll notice that as you bring the right heel up, the front of the foot is still in contact with the floor, that the right knee is bent now. Bringing the hands out to the sides and then bending the knee, lifting the leg forward in front of you and holding that posture as best you can. Just noticing where the intensity is for you, possibly in the left knee or the ankle. Notice what happens with the breath. And when you're ready, just planting slowly the right leg down, bringing the hands together in the clapping position, bringing them in towards the heart. You want to close the eyes for a moment and just allow maybe the trace of a smile. This is the smile of acceptance. The smile that says it's okay, whatever is here. And then when you're ready, finding your seat once again as I move with the laptop to a sitting position. And then if you'd like to close the eyes, you may do that. And just noticing, how is the body right now in the sitting position? Just registering those points of support for the body, whether it's coming from the feet or the chair or whatever you might be resting upon. Using the breath as a way of keeping you close to the earth. Keeping the body in mind. And asking yourself, what is calling for acceptance in you today? It could be a physical condition that you're struggling a little bit with. It could be some anxiety about some situation in your life right now. Or it could be one of those tricky emotions like anger or resentment that maybe is hanging around longer than it needs to. Or there may be a feeling of guilt because of competing demands, a feeling that I should be doing this as opposed to that, or which could make it a little bit hard to be fully here if the mind is divided about where it should be. As best you can, making peace with whatever choices you've already made today. Going below the stormy surface of the mind, if that's what's happening for you, to a more heart-centered awareness, where things are basically okay. Because there is an acceptance of how things are, however unsatisfactory. And if joy or gratitude are with you, just savoring these moments. Storing them in the memory, in the body, in the bones, for leaner times, when you will want to call on them as resources. As we come close to the end of the meditation, I'm going to read a short poem, which has an intriguing title, No More Same Old Silly Love Songs, by Neil Carpathius. And it's about a moment or two of kind of snapping out of autopilot and just being here with what is. Here it goes. When the radio in my car broke, I started to notice the trees. I began to stop exaggerating the color of leaves, how their reds and oranges need no wordy embellishment. I started to open my window and smell the wet pavement after morning rain. Crows on the phone line, their blackness and stubborn dignity. I even noticed my hands gripping the wheel, the small dark hairs, the skin, the knuckles, and the perfect blue veins. So it can be helpful for yourself to maybe offer yourself some words of gratitude for having the wisdom, the patience, and the courage to come into stillness, to move from doing to being for this half hour. So thank you, everybody. I've just unmuted you. If anybody wants to anything or.
Thanks, Dominic.
Thanks, Dominic.
Thanks, Dominic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dominic. That was beautiful. Thank you.
So enjoy the rest of the day.
Yes, certainly. Yeah.
Thanks, Dominic.
Wear sunscreen. Whatever about mindfulness, just wear sunscreen.
Thank you. Thanks, Dominic.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dominic.
Thank you, Dominic. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dominic. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dominic.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, Olivia.